Hello everybody, I'm Ixical. Welcome to Mitrumaru City. In my last build I built a truss bridge on Maplebrook Lane. There's also a flower shop here which I built a few episodes back. Today I'm going to build a wonderful Victorian house right on the corner here. There's enough space for a really big house, I think. And there's also going to be some space for a garden too, which is brilliant. To start the build, I've decided on these materials. I want grey tiles and lots of birch. I want to have a nice white Victorian house. Now, why do I want to build a Victorian house? Well, somebody suggested it to me, and I think it's a good idea. And what's so special about a Victorian house, you ask? Well, they like to use asymmetry, and I do too. Asymmetry basically means you want to have a doorway and different windows placed, not symmetrically. Most houses nowadays are very symmetrical and mirrored, and I don't want that, and neither did the Victorians. Here is the mod list and the resource packs that I'm using in my city. I do have quite a few, but the main focus is Yuushya Mod. I also use Axiom Mod here and there. That's for copying and pasting stuff, and maybe terraforming as well. Now I've basically completed the first floor, and I added a staircase in the middle, which is traditional to Victorian housing. Once I've finished that, I've leveled it up to have an additional floor. I don't want it to go past 2 floors. Maybe a loft space, which is an attic in America. I'm also going through the entire building, poking out where I want to have window spaces. I'm going to have these nice, really tall windows all throughout the house. And I'm making sure not to have too many windows, because too many is too many, isn't it? Once I've poked out all of the window spaces, I'm going to start adding a few details here and there to kind of work out where I want the floor plan. That little building in the corner is going to be the bathroom, I think, and there's a nice middle mezzanine area which is going to be interesting, and I'm also poking out an area to the right there for a master bedroom. There's also a bedroom on the left there. I guess that's for the children. I've decided on using white windows in the house, and I'm just going to use the standard usual windows because I feel they're the better choice. There are a lot of choices for windows. I like the McCaw's ones, but I really like the usual ones. They're crisp, they're clean, and they're white. At the front of the house, I want to use these marble columns. I like the idea of having a column system and some kind of intricate design on the window frames. Some of those are from the quirky mod, and there are a few problems installing that, so if you need some help, go check out my little tutorial on how to install Yuushya Mod and quirky mod at the same time. I'm also using the GUI tool and the green gourd from the Yuushya Mod to reposition all of the little bits so that the strange awning can be placed at the front with no issue. Underneath all of the windows, I'm going to add a white frame. That's to make it look interesting and kind of fitting with the Victorian theme. I want it to be very fresh, but also quite old because this building has been here for a long time, even though it was built in 2025. It's looking really good so far. If you're liking this build, send me a comment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already because, I'm trying to make this a thing. I've also started a Patreon if you're interested in that. Sorry to sell it, but I'm trying my best here to make it a job. Around the sides of the buildings, I'm also going to repeat the same process, making sure to have the frame all the way around every single window, because that way it looks like it's been here for a long time. It looks really fresh and clean. Around the back of the building, I do the exact same thing. I'm getting quite good at it now, so it's a fairly simple process. Just putting those things in and shifting them down at the top. Later, I do have to remove those, which is a bit of a pain, but I really like the window system now. It looks good. The window on the right there is not broken, it has an open one because that's going to be the bathroom space. Around the side, I just finalized putting in the last few window frames, and I think I've got enough window space there to make the house nice and bright, but not too many windows to be overwhelming and weird. The front of the house, I wasn't happy with that window, so I'm going to change it. The idea now is to have one of those windows that pokes out a bit. There's probably a special name for that, but I'm going to call it a Victorian poppy-outy window. Actually, I've just checked on the internet, it's called a cameo window. That's really interesting, you learn something every day. A cameo window does look really good. Usually they're on the bottom floor, but I don't care. Right now, what I'm doing is using the GUI tool to change that block state to be angled a little bit. It's a rather tricky process to do, but once I've done it, I can copy and paste it to the other side, and then just change it by flipping it left and right, horizontal and vertical, that is. Now I'm going to go around the entire house and put in this little roof space, which could be quite interesting. It's a feature that most Victorian houses have. They have like a second roof, I guess, and it does look rather good. It wasn't my original plan, to be honest, but I'm adding these things as I go along, changing the design and making sure that things fit in an interesting way that is unique to me, Mitrumaru City, and the style of the house, I guess. It's really nice like this. Around the front of the house, I'm just going to add these extra column parts and make it a little bit more interesting like that. It's like a really thick entrance space now, typical of Victorian houses. I finalised the rest of the area as well by finishing off that roof bit and putting in little plants at the front and a little tiny mailbox, which looks really cute. Now I've got to decide what I want to do with the roof. It's one of the most painful things in the world dealing with the roof. This space I'm chiseling out right now is going to be for a mini attic area. That's for the place where they want to hide all the trash and all the old things that they don't need. I go around the entire house and add an extra layer of birch planks and the blind walls just to make sure I've got enough space to play with for the roof, which is painful. Now I start adding a turret. A turret is one of those things, it's like a little feature of the house. It doesn't really do anything, but it looks cool. It's very gothic. To be honest, I'm using the McCaw's roof now, and these ones are slanted vertically to make a little spire like that. Doesn't that look really good? It's very interesting, isn't it? In the Yuushya mod, I find a weather vane, which I add to the top and shift across with the Yuushya GUI tool. Brilliant! Now I've got a very difficult process of adding more roof. This actually took me maybe about an hour to fix this roof. It's a really painful process, but I'm using the McCaw's mod roofs here for this, and I'm trying to make it nested in various places. It's not easy, and I'm trying my best to do it as quick as possible, and nesting the roof is very difficult. It's kind of easier to do it with stairs, from the standard game, but I like the idea of having a gothic nested roof, and it does work eventually. I'm just going through and dealing with it as the best I can. Here I'm connecting it together using grey tile blocks, making sure that everything fits neatly and a little bit offset. That looks good, and I'm kind of sick of dealing with the front, so that will have to do. I go around the front of the house and all the way around the sides actually, and put in an extra bit of that roof space around the side, and now I've got a little bit more to deal with here with nesting. So yeah, I have to destroy that, replan it, put it all back again, and then connect it this way. It's also a little bit difficult to see, especially on the ground while I'm doing it, because it's all grey. It's very difficult. That little space there is a little interesting utility space, I guess. You could have a hatch going up there if you wanted to, so you could access some electric works or something. This is pretty much the finished design of the house. So now I'm going around it and putting in some drains. I add a little drain pipe and a little drain system leading out onto the street. I do it around this side as well, because that way I've got enough space for drains without it interfering on the design and looking silly. I just go around the back there to try and deal with something, and then I put that little corner piece in at the front there. Now in the garden space at the front, I'm going to add little rose bushes. You've probably noticed at this point that I'm using white, grey and red. That little colour scheme is pretty good. I like the idea of black, gothic, dark houses, but not many people want to live in those, just weirdos like me. Now I've got to add this little fence around the side. The fences are very much the bane of my existence, apart from roofs, because in the Yuushya mod, in order to connect it, the Yuushya fences that is, you've got to right-click every single thing, turn them all into entities, then go in with the GUI tool and set it to middle or left or right, and it's a very painstaking process, but it's one of those things that's necessary if I want to have a perfect Victorian house, and that's what I'm going for. This little balcony space here, you could walk all the way around, and I like the idea of having that. It's just a little bit painful having to put in all the fences like this, clicking them all with the GUI tool to make sure it all fits nicely and efficiently, but it does work eventually. The last few are going in now. Occasionally I will hit a block and I have to destroy that because it's an entity and I don't want it to be. I just want the fence going in. That looks good like that. There's a few things you can't really see because there's a problem with the Yuushya mod, I guess. There it is, look, you can see the fence now. Great, that's done. I'm done with that. Don't have to deal with it again. I've decided for the garden space to use a standard birch fence from Minecraft. I'm not going to mess around with Yuushya ones too much, and it looks good. I add a couple of trees to their garden, and I put a fence at the front there near the street so you can't leave, or, access it, I guess. Now I want to have a little table here, a red one, sunken in the ground a little bit, with an umbrella and some red chairs, because again, it's a white and grey aesthetic. Around the side, next to the flower shop, I add a basketball net, put in a few plants and flowers, a little flower pot over there with something in it, a couple of cargo boxes, and I want to decorate the garden to be, I don't know, kind of like a normal family garden with random junk in there, including a guitar. That's pretty good. I'm liking this build so far, so what I need to do now is have a washing line. There's a little bit of a wire going towards the flower shop, and I'm just going to stick some clothes on it as well like that, to make it look like people have done stuff. I like the idea of having a prop there, one of those sticks, but I didn't bother in the end. I also add an axe and some sticks down there, some logs, and that's the garden space finished, and it does look good, and it's accessible to everybody in the house. I also add 3 AC units, because this house does have modern electricity. It's not going to have a fireplace. Once that's done, I go around the front of the house and add this little balcony table, which is really cool, and I also put hanging baskets all the way around the side. The hanging baskets look good, and they make it look interesting. Inside the house, I'm going to start separating all of the rooms. I want to have a fair few rooms in here, including a kitchen, dining room, living room space, 2 bedrooms maybe, and then a bunch of other stuff that I'm going to get to in a minute. And the first one I'm going to deal with is that attic in the turret. This is that spire area. That's kind of an open space. I could seal it off, but I want to have a bunch of antiques in here. This Victorian house has been here so long, and the occupants are probably 100 years old, so they're going to have a bunch of stuff in there. I also add a nice simple bathroom with one of those interesting baths. I put in some blinds on the inside. I actually forgot to add the toilet, so I'll deal with that later. Now I'm going to work on the little mezzanine space. For that, I'm using red sofas because that goes against the grey and the white, and it looks great. Just going to move those sofas back so they don't interfere with the painting. I add a couple of lights here and there, a little simple white glass coffee table with a Japanese tea set on it. Doesn't that look brilliant? I'm also going to add one of these little oak plants and then put in another chair over here, which is kind of like the reading corner. I would love to have a house like this. It's probably not 100% safe because you could just fall off the edge, couldn't you? I do need to add a banister there, but I didn't bother. I'm going to add a little column with a plant on. Looks great. So now I'm going to work on the master bedroom. It's got a little fish tank in it, a little computer table over here because it is modern still, and a great big double bed in the corner. I'm adding everything carefully to look great. I also put in a few wardrobes which have this like zebra striped pattern. It does look good, and it's birch. I also make sure to add a lot of plants and interesting paintings and things that people would have in their home. Now I'm going to head over to the boys' bedroom. The people who live here have a young son, and the young son has all the interesting things and mod cons that everyone would ever want. He's got a computer that he games on, a TV in his room, he's going to have a bunch of bookcases in there, a couple of safes at the top for all of his secret supplies, and a little box for some of his important documents too. This bedroom is brilliant, it's classic, and very simple. I go around the house and quickly add a few radiators. I want to make sure it's nice and warm in the winter. Down on the ground floor, or the first floor, I start working on a snug. This is their living room space, and a snug is a small area where you'd have a TV, a few different things like books, a kind of relaxing area. I like that. It's got the Nintendo Switch there and a picture of the world. The dining table is the first thing you see when you enter the house. This is a house where people are at the heart of their community. There's a few simple red chairs around there with a goldfish bowl. I think that looks good. They also have a fast food thing because they want to eat quick food. They're not really so bothered. That's probably the sons. I'm also going to add a little bit more living room space over here with a small little coffee table and a few chairs. Nothing special really. It just looks great like that. I add a few extra paintings in the mezzanine area to make it nice and interesting, and then I add a few bins here and there and decorate the whole area before moving on to the kitchen. In the kitchen, I'm going to have a washing machine, a stove, and a bunch of different shelves because this is a kitchen that they're not really bothered about being in too much. They can afford to go to restaurants, I think, living here. Now let's show you how I'm going to put in a refrigerator. I've already put in one, but I want to have a refrigerator that's open. So with the GUI tool, you can change the position to middle because it disappeared. And then you can also change the form to 1 so that it's open. You can flip it like that, look. I want to see inside. That looks great like that, doesn't it? I got myself a nice functional refrigerator. 2 of them, those big fridges, I always think are for the rich folk. And that's what I decided on adding. I also add a pizza and some snacks. Various different things. It's kind of fast foody in here because they're not bothered so much about their diet. Perhaps they're a little bit fat, this family. At the top here, I'm going to add a microwave and a couple of machines. I've also put in the sink because I sometimes forget that. It's a simple sink in this kitchen. Looks great like that, and from the window you can see all of the details. Very happy with that. Now there's one more room on the ground floor and I didn't really know what to do with it. So this is the grandma room. you could call it. This has got all of the things in that's kind of misplaced and a bit weird. A present on a pink table, a rocking chair, a little cactus, a bunch of random stuff. That's for Grandma. They do have those things. Thanks for joining me on my build today. Let's go take a tour of the place. Round the side of the building, you can see that the design is finished. I think it's as flawless as it's going to be. Let's go in the big red doors. You can see the dining table with all the details that I talked about before. Let's go into the Grandma room, the misplaced room with all the bunch of stuff that nobody really cares about, except for Grandma. She's got a few trinkets in there and lots of books. I don't know, houses have those things. There's the snug if you want to go and relax. Looks great. I really like the design of this house. The kitchen is quite big. It's not too big. It's big enough, isn't it, really? If you open these doors, you can go out and see the little river system. You can see the truss bridge and the Starbucks and the flower shop. There's plenty of detail in this garden. It's actually a big garden. In England, this would be considered a very large garden. It's kind of silly, really. There's also some barrels under the tree. This would be a very expensive house, to be honest. You can access the flower shop and the sewers if you really want to. They are there. You can actually access the sewers in my city. I spent a long time building them. Go check out that video. Going back up the stairs into the kitchen, and make sure to close all the doors. I want to show you the upstairs that I built. So upstairs is that mezzanine area. This is very nice up here, isn't it, with a couple of paintings. The master bedroom, plenty of space in here, with a little attic space for secret supplies. I like that. Maybe I should have closed that off, but I don't know, maybe they want to access it for some reason. Let's close that door. Oh, the globe's in the way. Close. Yeah, I closed it. Great, so let's go and have a quick look in the bathroom. Oh, I did forget the toilet. Oh, close that door, never mind. The boys' bedroom is very good. I like this room. This is the room I would like in the house, or even the master bedroom, because I'm an adult now. Brilliant. That little room, you can see out the window. Let's go back downstairs. This has been a fantastic build. I'm really happy with my Victorian house. If you've liked this video, subscribe, send me a comment. And while you do those things, I'm going to add myself a toilet. If you want to, you can join me on my Patreon, which I've just started recently. And if you don't want to do that, maybe consider donating a little bit on Ko-Fi. Sorry to pump you with that. I just, I'm trying to make this a thing. Put the toilet down here. That'll do right just there. Yeah, it's done. I'll see you next time, everybody. Welcome to Mitrumaru City.